Imagine waking up one morning, walking into your kitchen, and realizing that something feels different. Not painful, not dramatic, just harder. The chair seems a little lower when you stand up. The stairs seem a little steeper. Carrying a bag of groceries from the car takes more effort than it used to. And you might tell yourself, well, I'm over 60. I suppose this is just getting older. But here is something worth thinking about. What if some of the strength and independence we associate with aging are actually influenced by what we do during ordinary moments of the day? Not extreme workouts, not complicated diets, not spending hours in a gym. Simple daily habits. Habits that can fit into the life you already have. I'm Dr. Calvin Stone, and today I want to walk you through 7 everyday habits that may help you protect your strength, mobility, and independence as you get older. And the first one is surprisingly simple because it has almost nothing to do with exercise. It has to do with how often you move throughout the day. Think about a typical morning. You get out of bed, make coffee, sit down for breakfast, perhaps watch television, then sit in the car to run an errand. You come home, sit again for lunch, and later settle into your favorite chair. You may technically be active because you walked around the house or went shopping, but there can still be long stretches when your muscles barely have to work. And that matters. Your muscles respond to what you regularly ask them to do. If your body spends most of the day sitting, standing up and walking can gradually feel more demanding. But when you regularly interrupt sitting with small amounts of movement, you give your body more opportunities to practice something extremely important: moving. This doesn't mean you need to pace around your house all day. It could be as simple as standing up during a television commercial, walking around the kitchen after a meal, taking a few extra trips when putting groceries away, or walking around the house every hour or so when you're awake. The goal is not to exhaust yourself. The goal is to avoid letting several hours pass without giving your body a reason to move. And there's an important distinction here. You don't have to wait until you feel motivated. Make movement part of something you already do. After your morning coffee, walk for a few minutes. After lunch, take a gentle walk if you're able. Before sitting down in the evening, move around the house for a little while. These tiny decisions can add up because you're turning movement from an occasional activity into part of your daily routine. Now, there's another habit that becomes especially important as the years go by. It involves something you probably do every single day, but many people don't think of it as a strength-building opportunity at all. Getting up from a chair. That ordinary movement can tell you quite a bit about how comfortably your legs, hips, and core are working together. So instead of thinking of every chair as simply a place to sit, think of standing up as one of the movements you want your body to keep practicing. If you're safely able to do so, pay attention to how easily you rise. Do you need to push hard with your arms? Do you have to rock forward several times? Does standing feel noticeably more difficult than it did a year ago? Don't panic if you notice a change. One difficult movement does not diagnose a medical problem, but a gradual decline in everyday abilities is worth paying attention to. Because independence isn't just about being able to lift heavy weights. It's about being able to get out of a chair, walk across a room, carry something safely, climb a few steps, and move through your own home with confidence. And that brings us to a bigger idea that will run through everything we're discussing today. The goal isn't to become an athlete after 60. The goal is to keep your body capable of handling your real life. Because strength has a purpose. It helps you live the life you want to live.
And once you start looking at strength that way, the second habit becomes much easier to understand. Use your muscles for everyday tasks instead of doing everything the easiest possible way. Now, I'm not suggesting that you make life difficult for yourself. I'm talking about giving your body small, safe opportunities to do some work. For example, if you're physically able, carry a light grocery bag instead of always asking someone else to carry it. Stand while doing a task that you normally do sitting down. Walk to the mailbox instead of driving when it is safe and practical. Take the stairs when you're comfortable doing so. These aren't workouts in the traditional sense, but they are reminders to your muscles. Asterisk, you still need me. Asterisk, and that message matters. As we get older, maintaining muscle becomes increasingly important because muscle is not just about appearance. It supports everyday movement and helps you perform the activities that allow you to remain independent. But there's another piece that many people overlook: balance. You can have reasonably strong legs and still become less confident if you don't trust your balance. Maybe you hold on to furniture when walking through the house. Maybe you hesitate before stepping off a curb. Maybe you avoid walking on uneven ground because you're worried about losing your footing. When those little fears begin changing the way you move, they can gradually make your world smaller. So the third habit is to practice balance as part of your normal routine. This does not mean standing on one foot in the middle of the room without support. Safety comes first. If you want to practice a balance exercise, use a sturdy surface for support and consider discussing appropriate exercises with a healthcare professional or physical therapist, particularly if you've had a fall or have significant balance problems. Even simple movements can help you become more aware of how your body feels when you shift your weight, turn, stop, and start. And there's a reason I'm emphasizing the word practice. Balance isn't something you should think about only after you fall. It's something worth maintaining before a problem becomes serious. Imagine a typical afternoon. You're walking through your kitchen carrying a cup of coffee. The phone rings. You turn quickly, take a step, and suddenly realize your footing isn't as steady as you expected. That tiny moment illustrates something important. Real life rarely happens while you're standing perfectly still. You turn, you reach, you step around objects, you get up from chairs, you change direction. Your body needs to coordinate all of those movements. That's why maintaining mobility and balance can be so valuable for independence. Now let's move to a habit that may sound completely unrelated to muscle strength. Pay attention to what you put on your plate. After 60, food isn't simply about calories or weight. Your body needs adequate nutrition to support muscles, bones, energy, and normal body functions. One of the most important things to consider is getting enough protein from appropriate foods. Protein-rich foods can include fish, eggs, poultry, dairy products, beans, lentils, tofu, and other foods that fit your health needs and preferences. But don't turn this into a race to eat enormous amounts of protein. Your individual needs can depend on your overall health, kidney function, medications, activity level, and other factors. The better approach is to look at your meals and ask a simple question. Where's the protein? Maybe it's eggs at breakfast, yogurt with a meal or snack, beans or lentils at lunch, fish or chicken at dinner. The point is consistency. Your muscles don't care whether a meal looks impressive. They benefit from having the nutrients your body needs on a regular basis. And there's something else worth remembering. A healthy aging routine doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need 7 flawless habits every single day. What matters more is creating a pattern you can actually maintain. Because the strongest routine isn't the one that looks impressive on paper. It's the one you still follow 6 months from now. And that leads directly to the 5th habit, one that many older adults underestimate because it happens while they're doing almost nothing at all. Sleep. When you're asleep, your body isn't simply switched off. Sleep is part of recovery. And if you regularly sleep poorly, you may notice the effects during the day. Less energy, poorer concentration, reduced motivation to move, and simply feeling like everything takes more effort. If you want to protect your independence, don't treat sleep as leftover time after everything else is finished. Treat it as part of your health routine. Keep your sleep schedule reasonably consistent.
Make your bedroom comfortable and quiet. Limit habits that interfere with sleep. And if persistent sleep problems are affecting your daytime life, don't simply assume they're an unavoidable part of getting older. Sometimes there is an underlying issue worth discussing with a healthcare professional. Because staying strong isn't only about what you do while you're awake. It's also about giving your body enough opportunity to recover. And there is one more daily habit that connects almost everything we've discussed so far. Movement, balance, nutrition, and recovery. It is perhaps the simplest one of all. Pay attention to small changes in what your body can do. Not with fear, with curiosity. If walking suddenly becomes much harder, don't automatically say, "I'm just getting older." If you begin struggling with everyday movements that used to feel routine, notice the change. If your balance is worsening, take it seriously. If fatigue is persistent or unusual, mention it to your healthcare professional. Your body doesn't always announce problems with dramatic symptoms. Sometimes the first clue is simply, this used to be easier, and noticing that difference can be valuable. There is an important difference between noticing a change and becoming afraid of it. If you find that something is harder than it used to be, the goal isn't to convince yourself that something is wrong. The goal is to ask a better question. Why has this changed, and what can I do about it? That mindset can keep you engaged with your health instead of simply accepting every decline as inevitable. And it brings us to the next habit. Stay connected to people. At first, that might sound strange in a conversation about physical strength. But your daily environment influences how much you move, how regularly you eat, whether you leave the house, and even whether you feel motivated to take care of yourself. Think about the difference between 2 mornings. In one, you wake up, eat breakfast alone, sit in front of the television, and barely leave the house. In another, you have a reason to get dressed, meet a friend for coffee, walk with a neighbor, visit family, attend a community activity, or simply run an errand that gets you moving. Neither day needs to be extraordinary, but the second one gives you more reasons to use your body and stay engaged with the world around you. That's why social connection can be part of a healthy aging routine. It can give movement a purpose. You're not walking just because someone told you to walk. You're walking because you're going somewhere. You're not getting out of the house just to exercise. You're meeting someone you care about. That difference can make healthy habits easier to maintain. And now we've reached another habit that is easy to overlook. Make your home work for your independence. This may sound like a household issue rather than a health habit, but your surroundings can influence how confidently you move. Look around your home. Are there loose rugs that could shift under your feet? Is a hallway poorly lit at night? Are commonly used items stored so high that you need to climb or stretch awkwardly to reach them? Do you frequently have to step over clutter? These aren't glamorous health tips, but independence is often protected by small decisions. A safer environment means fewer unnecessary obstacles between you and the things you want to do. And if you've already experienced a fall, or you feel unsteady, it's especially important to discuss fall prevention with a healthcare professional. You don't have to wait for another fall before taking your surroundings seriously. Now, let's put the habits together. The first was move throughout the day rather than spending long, uninterrupted periods sitting. The second was use your muscles during ordinary activities when it's safe and practical. The third was maintain balance and mobility rather than waiting until you become afraid of falling. The fourth was pay attention to nutrition and include appropriate protein-rich foods in your meals. The fifth was protect your sleep and recovery. The sixth was notice changes in what your body can do and don't automatically dismiss them as just aging. And the seventh is stay connected and make your environment support your independence. None of these habits requires you to become a completely different person. That's the point. Healthy aging doesn't have to begin with a dramatic transformation on Monday morning. It can begin with one small decision today. Maybe you stand up more often. Maybe you take a short walk. Maybe you make your next meal a little more balanced. Maybe you finally mention that persistent change you've been ignoring to your doctor. Maybe you remove that loose rug you've been stepping around for months. Small actions become powerful when they become normal. And there's one final thing I want you to remember. Independence isn't something you suddenly lose on one particular day. For many people, it is something worth protecting gradually through the ordinary choices made over months and years. That means today's choices matter. Not because you need to be perfect, but because your future self will benefit from every ability you work to maintain. If you're over 60, you don't need to prove that you can do everything you could at 30. You simply want to give yourself the best reasonable chance of continuing to do the things that matter to you. Walking confidently, getting out of a chair, carrying your groceries, visiting family, traveling, gardening, cooking, and living in your own way. That's what strength is really for. It's not about looking younger. It's about staying capable. And capability is worth protecting.